Hello, my name is Joshua Haney, and I am a saxophonist and educator. Today I'm coming at you from Raleigh, North Carolina to talk to you a bit about the D'Addario Reserve D155 mouthpiece. I've had this mouthpiece in my collection for a while, and I've wanted to review it for some time and share my thoughts, so here we go. First things first, the presentation of this mouthpiece is really excellent. It comes in this really handsome white and green box. On the top you can see it says D155 and tells you the facing. The D155 mouthpiece has a 1.5 millimeter tip and has what is called a medium facing. I chose the D55 facing in particular because it's the closest one to my Selmer S90-190. I thought it would make a really good comparison between the two. The description on the back says, a modern version of what a classical saxophone mouthpiece should be. The Reserve is born of cutting-edge technology pioneered by D'Addario. Precisely milled, not molded, from solid rod rubber, every Reserve mouthpiece is machined to the strictest possible tolerances for an unmatched level of consistency. But make no mistake, the true beauty of Reserve won't be found simply in its polished angles or unique oval inner chamber. The true beauty lies in its sound. I think that's a very interesting description for what this mouthpiece has to offer. Unlike Van Doren, D'Addario does not offer very specific details on how the individual facings play. They have the D140, D150, and D155, and I believe the primary differences are tip opening and facing length, but they don't provide a flowery description of how each facing plays like other manufacturers. The mouthpiece itself is very understated in its appearance, with a simple Reserve logo and a D'Addario logo on the shank. My serial number for my mouthpiece is 001392. When you look inside the mouthpiece, you can see that the chamber is indeed an oval shape. I have not seen any other mouthpiece on the market that has this kind of shape before, and it definitely must play a role in the unique sound that this mouthpiece produces. When you look into the throat of the mouthpiece, you can see that there's a little bit of a squeeze into the oval-shaped chamber, which provides a different kind of resistance or back pressure than you may feel on a Van Doren or a Selmer mouthpiece. The tip rails and facing are a little bit on the thicker side, which I believe helps to darken up the sound just a little bit. I have found that this mouthpiece is reed friendly, so those thick rails don't get in the way of this mouthpiece working with all sorts of reeds. Overall, the presentation and appearance of the mouthpiece and packaging are very nice, especially for D'Addario's first attempt at a serious classical mouthpiece. What are my thoughts on how it plays? From behind the horn, this mouthpiece plays with a little bit more resistance than I'm used to on my Selmer mouthpiece. Even more than resistance, it plays with a remarkable darkness. So much more dark than any Selmer or Van Doren that I've ever played. This darkness is not necessarily a bad thing. The darkness never really strays into tubbiness or stuffy territory. It's definitely a unique offering on the part of D'Addario. I do believe that I would probably play a softer reed on this mouthpiece if I were to make it my full-time equipment. I found that it had just a little more resistance than I like when playing with a D'Addario 3+ reed. I would probably move down to a 3 instead. However, I like matching my reed strengths with mouthpieces rather than finding the right reed for a particular mouthpiece. So I'm going to stick with my D'Addario 3+ for now. As far as response is concerned, the resistance does not get in the way of the reed being tongued, especially in the lower and higher registers. It still responds very well, and the altissimo is not an issue whatsoever. As far as intonation is concerned, I did not find any problem areas other than the usual suspects like a sharp middle D, a flat C sharp, and lower register that you need to pull up a little bit. All standard tendencies that you find in other saxophone mouthpieces. This mouthpiece isn't going to fix anything, but it's also not going to create new problems. That's enough of my talking about this mouthpiece. Now I'm going to just let you listen to it and judge for yourselves. Do know, when I am testing this mouthpiece, I am playing with the same D'Addario 3+ reed on every single example, and I'm also playing the same reed between the Selmer mouthpiece and the D'Addario mouthpiece. The reed is fresh and has not been adapted to any mouthpiece, so you're going to get the most honest example of how a mouthpiece would play fresh out of the box with a brand new reed. These playing tests will be done not only with the same reed, but also with the same horn. I use the Selmer Series 3 for all of my mouthpiece tests because I find it's kind of a neutral horn and gets out of the way, lets the character of the mouthpiece speak. And just like before, I will be using my Ishimori gold ligature, which fits this mouthpiece very well. So without further ado, let's hear some comparisons. So as you can hear, the D'Addario certainly offers a very different sound from the Selmer. I personally find it to have a bit more resistance behind the horn, but still remains very easy to articulate, especially in the extreme registers. I also find the sound to be a little less brilliant than the Selmer, but it still has a little bit of shimmer or edge on top in order to make sure that you project. I personally play with a more naturally neutral sound, so I like to have the Selmer because it gives me more flexibility in colors. I can make it darker or I can make it brighter depending on what I want. For players that may have a more naturally bright sound or want to stay darker more often, I think that D'Addario offers a great palette of colors that make the sound maybe a little bit less bright. I prefer to have the flexibility of the Selmer, but for someone that wants stability, the D'Addario is an excellent option. The mouthpiece is very well made and they're also very consistent. I had a chance to try a whole bunch of them, and I think the D155 is a winner. Ultimately, I think this is an excellent product, and D'Addario should be proud of their first real entry into the classical saxophone mouthpiece area. As I said in my AP3 video review, having more options in this space is better, because when the companies have to compete against each other, it ultimately makes the products better, and then we as the consumers win. While the D'Addario D55 may not be the mouthpiece that I'm looking for and meet the needs that I want in my sound, it is an excellent option and most players should try it out and see if it works for them. I think it is an excellent mouthpiece and a wonderful addition to the market. Anyway, let me know your thoughts. If you have any mouthpieces that you want me to try, leave a comment below and tell me what you think. Or if you think I sounded better or worse on one of the mouthpieces, I'd also love to know your thoughts. comment, rate, and subscribe. There's a lot more to come. I'll see you in a future video.